you want to be my YouTube video? Do you want to say hi? Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, there goes my cat. As you can tell, we are in a different room today than we normally are. We are in what I like to call my sunroom because there's a wall of windows here and there's a wall of windows here. Today, we are doing a slightly different video. We're doing a video that I've never really done before, but I've definitely seen it done before and it seems like a cute idea, so I figured, why not? Today, we are going to be doing a reading vlog of none other than The Sea of Monsters. So technically, it's a rereading vlog, but we're just gonna call it a reading vlog. So it's been a minute since I've read Sea of Monsters, and I've been saying in my videos that I need to reread it. But the thing with me, despite all of the books that you see behind me, I have really poor discipline when it comes to reading. I am first and foremost like a TV binge watching girly. That's what I like to do in my free time. I like to put on a show that I've seen a million times before and scroll on my phone, or I like to watch new shows and I binge them usually within the course of like a week. I'm an avid TV watcher. All I do is watch TV. And I'd say second most to TV, I'm a movie watcher, but that's probably mostly because of my boyfriend. I still like movies on my own though. So then my third activity would be reading. I tend to not find a lot of time to do that, believe it or not. Even though my main job is like content creation and I do have a lot of air quote free time, a lot of that time is taken up by things that like don't necessarily allow me to read. So it takes me a while to get through a book normally. So what if we just combined reading with making content, which is what I'm doing right now, and maybe I'll read the book fast, who knows? I remember my first time reading Sea of Monsters, I read The Lightning Thief like super fast, and for some reason Sea of Monsters just felt really slow to me. So whenever I like rank the Percy Jackson books, Sea of Monsters actually always comes in last. Sorry. Absolutely no disrespect to Sea of Monsters, though I still love it. I am very excited to revisit it, though. I'm hoping that this read will go by a lot faster than the first time I read it, but I don't really revisit this book often, so this is going to be interesting for sure. Now, I've never done a reading vlog. I don't know how often I'm supposed to let you guys just sit here and watch me read. I think what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to read, and if I feel like I need to say something, I'll let you guys know. It's going to be like verbal annotations, if you will. How many pages is this book? 279 pages. That's not bad. Only 20 chapters. We could do 5 chapters a day. No, we could do more than that. I don't know. I got a busy week. We'll see what we can do. 20 chapters. Basically 280 pages. Sea of Monsters. Let's read. I want my cat to sit with me, but he's so playful. I don't think he'll stay. Say hi. Oh, that's my face. Oh, that's my face. Thank you. So here's a question. Do we think that the first thing we see in season 2 is going to be Grover running away from a Cyclops? Because this book starts with like Percy's first dream of Grover, like seeing him in peril or whatever. I feel like that's a sort of lackluster way to open up season 2. I think they have to do something a little bit more epic than that. I think season 2 is going to open with one of two things. I think it's either going to open up with like Percy in his legit new school, like how the rest of this chapter goes, I'm pretty sure. Or if they want to get really fancy, they're going to open up with like a flashback of like a young Annabeth and Thalia and Luke. But that's just what I think. One thing you have to love about reading Percy Jackson books, which are technically children's books, this is one chapter. One chapter. You gotta love to see it. What is in my hair? It's a sticker. Another thing I love about these books is how like accurately they can get middle school. Cause what, Percy's in 7th grade and he had to read Lord of the Flies. I didn't do a lot of like the required reading that you were supposed to do in middle school and high school. Sue me. I wasn't a big reader. Not to Percy Jackson myself or anything, but I had like undiagnosed ADHD until I was a senior in high school. So like reading was just never something I wanted to do. But one of the few books that I did actually read that was required was Lord of the Flies. And it was a very, not traumatizing, but memorable like moment. Cause it is a kind of like horrifying book to read. So I like that Percy Jackson was reading that in his 7th grade year. So we just got introduced to Tyson in the book and Percy is like describing what he looks like. And I know we're all super excited / nervous to see how they're going to do Tyson's like singular eye for when he's a Cyclops. But honestly, what I'm really interested to see is what they make him look like before Percy knows that he's a Cyclops. because this is how Percy describes him. His face was kind of misshapen and brutal looking. I couldn't tell you what color his eyes were because I could never make myself look higher than his crooked teeth. I don't think Daniel has crooked teeth, so I wonder if they're going to do anything to that. It's definitely going to be interesting to see like what they do to make him look misshapen. Also, if you hear a noise, my cat is playing with one of his toys over there. It says here that Tyson wears size 20 shoes. That's literally fucking insane. Like, basketball players don't even wear size 20 shoes. We just got to the part where Percy admits he keeps a picture of Annabeth in his notebook. I hope and pray to God that that detail is kept in the show, not only just for like my personal wanting for it to be in the show, but also I know so many people are going to be literally devastated if it's not in the show. But I think the writers know their audience pretty well. They know that we care a lot about Percybeth, and I don't think that they would like actively leave stuff out like that if they know that the fans care about it so much. And it's such a cute detail. It's so cute. Here's one thing I hate about reading Percy Jackson books. When I get to a big ass word, Laestrygonians, I think that's how it's pronounced. I know my brain hates to see a big word coming when I'm reading. I have like trauma from elementary school of like having to read out loud and like accidentally mispronouncing a word in front of the class and people like laughing at me. So I hate when I don't know how to pronounce a word in a book. Okay, we're on chapter 3 now. So basically, they change into their gym clothes before they play dodgeball with the monsters. And then they leave in their gym clothes in the book. Because we have a video of Tyson, Percy, and Annabeth on the streets of Vancouver, Canada, we know what they're wearing when they meet Annabeth outside the school. So either they somehow have time to change back into their school uniforms after gym class, or sadly, they don't change at all for gym class, which makes me sad because I was very much looking forward to seeing them in their silly little tie-dye shirts. Anyways, on to chapter 3. We are making phenomenal time. Boy, wanna sit with me? I'm gonna be holding my microphone because I can't get up because my cat's on my lap. This is not right. Percy is literally so me when Annabeth says Laestrygonians. He's like, what? I can't even say that. He's so me. Me and Percy when it comes to big words. So they're getting in the taxi to go to camp. And I personally really hope that they keep the like intense sort of, I don't want to say hatred, but like the intense dynamic of Annabeth and Tyson. I hope they don't shy away from that just because I feel like it's really fascinating additions to both of their characters. And I really like seeing the resolve of their relationship throughout this book. So that's something I hope they definitely keep in the show. And even if they do keep it, like I hope they don't shy away from it. I hope they make it like as intense as it is in the book. I saw some people on Twitter saying that they think like they might just scrap the whole Annabeth and Tyson beef. I don't know where they got that from. Twitter kind of makes things up as they go, but I hope that that's not true, and I do hope that they keep it, right? So they're officially in the cab that's going to take them to Camp Half-Blood. I would also just like to say for the record that I very much identify with Tyson getting car sick in the back seat of this taxi. Recently, every Uber I take, like, legally has decided to not have air conditioning on in their car. It's fucking insane. It happens the entire week that I was in LA, and it happens here in Atlanta where I live. Like, just no air conditioning at all. If they have it on in the front, it does not reach the back seat, and sometimes they don't even have air conditioning on in the first place. In the summer in Georgia, jail. Literally, when I get like so warm and I'm in a moving vehicle, hey, I'm going to vomit. I haven't, but Ubers 9 times out of 10 are making me car sick. So Tyson, I feel you, buddy. Don't you worry about it. And also, when the car stops and Tyson burps and he's like, I feel better now. Literally me every time. Not to be TMI with you guys, but every time I get car sick, the minute I'm out of the car, I burp, better. Instantly better. It's crazy. Guys, we are moving through this book at a lightning speed, no pun intended. We are already on chapter 4. So far, it's definitely going faster than I remember it going the last time I read it. I think the book sort of feels like it slows down for me, believe it or not, like when we get to like the Sea of Monsters part in a way. I don't know. I just remember like them trying to find Clarice felt very slow, and then like them getting through all the obstacles to get to Grover felt slow outside of like Cersei's island, but maybe that's just me. We'll see when we get there, but right now it's going a lot faster than I remember. Best line of the book so far. I'd learned a long time ago not to question Annabeth too much. It just made me more confused. So right now, Percy and Clarice are fighting the bulls, and this actually makes me think of a really interesting thing. I don't think I've seen a photo of Walker and Dior like standing directly next to each other in a minute. Is Walker taller than Dior at this point? I think Walker is close to, if not the same height as Charlie, who plays Luke, but it's gonna be interesting to see Walker basically like being the same height, if not taller than Clarice in the show, because he was so little in season 1 when he saw Clarice, because that was like at the beginning of the season. So like when Percy pulls Clarice out of the way of the bull, we're supposed to be picturing like a tiny little baby boy doing that, but Walker's not that short anymore. So it's gonna be interesting. Not that that matters, like it's really not that big of a difference. It's just interesting to think about like how he's going to compare like standing next to a bunch of other characters. All I know is that Daniel, who plays Tyson, makes everybody look tiny. So you know what would actually be so funny for Tyson? If up until like Percy realizes he's a Cyclops, his like face is like cut off. Like, you know, in like old cartoons when like the human, you would just like never see their head. You know what I'm talking about? Like their heads would just always be cut off like at the very top of the screen. They should do that with Tyson. And you just don't see the upper half of his face until it's revealed that he's a Cyclops. That would be hilarious. Chapter 5. Everybody cheered. Guys, we might even read ahead of schedule. It's not like I'm going anywhere because my cat's in my lap. So I'm basically stuck here until he gets up. It is literally so crazy to me that like Luke poisoned Thalia's tree, because even though Luke like believes what he does, etc., like Thalia was his friend. Thalia saved his life. Like you'd think maybe he would draw the line at that, at poisoning her tree. It's just kind of fucked up. It's been a while since I've watched the TV show. I can't remember. Do they mention or talk about like the big prophecy that like Percy doesn't know anything about? Do they mention that in season 1? I don't think they do. They might. I don't know. I really don't remember. But I feel like they don't. If they do, it's like once and it's vague. Also, I wonder if in season 2 we're finally going to actually see Athena's cabin / other cabin 6 members, because we didn't really see any of that in season 1. As a daughter of Athena myself, I am literally dying to see Athena's cabin and how they do it in the show. So I'd really like to see it in season 2. New characters that we're meeting right now. We just met Charles Beckendorf. We're meeting the Stoll brothers. all people that we do not have the casting for yet, but I'm very excited to learn who's going to play them. I also really hope that season 2 gives us a lot more of Mr. D than we got in season 1. I think Jason Mantzoukas is like such a phenomenal actor, and I think that he does Mr. D better than anyone ever could possibly do Mr. D. So I'm really hoping that we get like more of him. I hope. Ooh, I've been blowing out the mic this whole time. That's crazy. I hope they get like the scariest and most creepy looking guy to play Tantalus. Honestly, when I picture Tantalus in my head, I kind of picture the guy that they got to play Krusty in season 1, who coincidentally is also in the Lightning Thief movie. Like that sort of vibe. Like he has to have like sunken eyelids and just be very sort of naturally scary looking. Kind of like a vampire, but not the hot kind, the evil kind. Oh my gosh, this line just gave me an idea. Dionysus was an overgrown brat. Who is going to edit Mr. D to Brat by Charlie XCX? Do you think Mr. D knows about Brat Summer? Do you think he participated in Brat Summer? If Percy Jackson season 2 makes a Brat Summer joke, I will lose my fucking mind. That will be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I remember when we first saw what the trident over Percy's head looked like when he was being claimed in the show was like revealed. And I remember everyone's reaction to it when we saw it. We were like, that looks a lot bigger than we all kind of collectively imagined. It still looked great. I liked it. But I do remember like virtually everyone was like, whoa, that's a huge trident. I am at the part where Tyson just got claimed by Poseidon. Is his trident also going to be fucking huge over his head? Because when I read the books, like I pictured the little claiming tridents like the size of like the diamond that's above a Sim's head. You know what I mean? A little bit more subtle than what the show did. So when Tyson gets claimed, it's gonna be like this giant trident, but the scene when he gets claimed is like low-key underwhelming, especially compared to Percy. So it's gonna be really interesting and kind of funny. On to chapter 6. And honestly, when I think about it, so there's 20 chapters in this book and probably 8 episodes to season 2. Tyson getting claimed could be the end of episode 2 of season 2. Even though that'd be like pretty much directly similar to how episode 2 of season 1 ends. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They could pretty much follow the same layout. They would have to like really stretch out what happens in the first 5 chapters to make 2 episodes out of it. But I think no, I lied. I literally just lied to your face. Tyson being claimed could maybe be the end of episode 1, because I do think the chariot scene has to be in episode 2, even though that would also follow the format of season 1 with the capture the flag scene being in episode 2. I think the chariot scene does have to be in episode 2, if you want my humble opinion. There's no way the chariot scene's in episode 1. That would be going really fucking fast for such a small book. Like, they can take their time. Something that they definitely have to introduce in season 2 that they didn't introduce in season 1 is the fact that Percy can like speak to and understand horses, like regular horses, seahorses, Pegasi. They gotta bring that up. They gotta showcase that, because they completely left out the part where Percy talks to a zebra in season 1. So I wonder how they're gonna bring that up. Maybe it'll be like a reveal that like shocks Percy himself. I don't know. I'm gonna be so brutally honest with you guys right now. My butt is so asleep right now, and I can't move because my cat is dead asleep in my lap. But I literally cannot feel my butt. It's asleep. So, like I said, I wanted to see another Cabin 6 member in season 2, and I was wondering if they were going to actually show that to us. I'm literally so dumb. There's going to have to be a second Cabin 6 member in Annabeth's chariot with her during the chariot race. So, we're going to see at least one other Athena child, which will be cool. Also, to my knowledge, in the book, they don't really describe what Annabeth's chariot looks like, which is kind of exciting because I think that gives the show a lot of free reign when it comes to her chariot. And I'm very excited to see like how they make it look. On to chapter 7, everybody. This book has like quite a bit of stories being told within it, like Annabeth telling Percy the story of the Golden Fleece, Tantalus telling a story of somebody, etc., etc. And I'm not going to say whether or not I skim those parts when I get to it in books, but when it comes to the show, I wonder if they're going to include those like sort of monologues where they tell stories, because they did that in season 1 and people like were in an uproar over it. They're like, they're doing too much telling, not enough showing, exposition dump, blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, yeah, we need an exposition dump because who the fuck knows what a golden fleece is? If you haven't read this book, and if you're not like a super nerd when it comes to like ancient Greece or whatever, why would you know what a golden fleece is? You don't know what a golden fleece is. You need someone to tell you what it is. Another thing Tyson and I have in common, falling asleep in literally 0.5 seconds. That is so me. Oh my gosh, I literally forgot that Hermes is in this book. Not that I forgot, it's just like, oh my gosh, you're right. He is. I wonder if they're gonna have him be wearing like running shorts and his marathon t-shirt. That'd be so funny to see Lin-Manuel Miranda look like that. I also wonder if we're gonna meet George and Martha, the snakes that are with Hermes. And if we do meet them, how? Because there's literally no way in hell that they're going to have Hermes answer a phone that has an antenna on it. That's going to confuse the children watching the show. Do you guys even remember telephones having antennas on them? Because I'm pretty much older than most of you guys probably watching this, and I maybe had like one phone with an antenna on it, and then we moved on from that pretty quick. And in this, the snakes are on the antenna of his cell phone. But also, it'd be kind of funny to see Hermes answer an old as fuck phone. So maybe they'll still do it. Who knows? The duality of Percy Jackson. Season 1, Percy's doing Fortnite dances. Season 2, Hermes is answering a phone from the 1990s. Alright, gang, that concludes chapter 7, and I think that that's going to be the stopping point for today's reading at least. I have to go to a concert today, so we got to wrap today's session up, but literally in a few seconds in this video, we'll probably be in day 2 of reading. This was kind of fun. Had a fun time. Went a lot faster than I remember, but like I said, we haven't really gotten to what I remember to be the slow parts of this book, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope you guys are enjoying this reading vlog, if you will. My cat, I don't even know if you guys can see him. He has sat with me the whole time, which is so sweet. Day 1 of reading vlog for Sea of Monsters, chapters 1 through 7 complete. I'd say that's pretty good work. All right, it's now day 2 of the reading vlog. Let's go ahead and start cracking into the book. Did my butt basically fall asleep from sitting here reading yesterday? Yes. Do I have any intentions to make this seating area more comfortable for myself? No. Everything is exactly the same as it was yesterday. Although I'll probably be able to move because I doubt Indy will come and sit on my lap today. He is currently to my left, running amok. Literally going berserkers right now on one of my chairs. So I think he's hyper. So I don't think we're going to get any cuddles today, but that's fine. We left off yesterday at the very end of chapter 7, so we're starting chapter 8. We board the Princess Andromeda, which is low-key like a really good place to start on the second day, I feel like. Now, I wonder within the show if this is when we'll see Luke for the first time in season 2. I'll be curious to see like how they do Luke scenes, like how they add Luke scenes. We have a whole new original character to the show being added. I feel like we've all kind of forgotten about that because we've been so eager to see like who's getting casted as Thalia, who's going to get casted as Tyson, who's going to be casted as Charles and Selena, and all these people that we already know. I feel like we all kind of forgot that they're adding an original character to the season 2 who is going to be a part of Luke's storyline. So I'm curious to see like how much more of Luke's storyline we get to see, how this new character is going to play into all of it. It'll be very interesting. Something I'm really excited to see is the design of the hippocampi in the show, because we actually have a visual of that in the Sea of Monsters movie. Like, so far, most of the stuff in this book is stuff that the movie kind of didn't do. They did like the mechanical bulls, I guess, sort of, but I think it was more of a mechanical rhino in the movie, if I'm remembering correctly. But they didn't do a chariot race. They didn't do anything really so far in this book up until the hippocampi of it all. And besides the fact that the CGI was literally dog dookie poo poo water, I mean, I feel like there's only so many ways that you can design a hippocampi. I'm sure the show will make it look better than the movie, though. Hard to make it look worse. So, okay, kind of similar to the movie, I guess, but I use the word similar very loosely. When they're away from Camp Half-Blood, the mist like works its magic again on Percy, and it makes him hard to discern whether or not Tyson has one or two eyes. And in the movie, if you guys remember, they create this like literal mist. It's like a spray bottle, and they spray it on Tyson's face so that his one eye goes to two eyes. Which, okay, Sea of Monsters has a lot of faults. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. But when it comes to like being in a creative room and being like, oh, okay, you know, we don't really want to do this whole one eye CGI thing for the whole movie. Like, that's a big cost expense. And also, it's just ugly. So, like, how do we get around this? Like, how do we explain the mist? For the quirky, I guess, vibe that they were going for with the Percy Jackson movies, like a spray bottle of mist, hey. Of all the things in that movie, that's not the worst idea I've ever seen, right? But in the show, I wonder if they're just gonna go back to whatever they're gonna make Tyson's face look like in the beginning. I don't know. Because also we've seen like a behind the scenes video of them filming, and Daniel's face just looks like Daniel. So either whatever disfigurement they give to Tyson is going to be all CGI, because it doesn't look like there's any prosthetics being used. Or maybe they're gonna get rid of the part where like the mist makes him look disfigured. Maybe they'll just have him look normal. That's a possibility. Or maybe they just keep him as a Cyclops the whole time. Who's to say? I wonder if they're gonna keep it like the book, where when they're away from camp, the mist works again and you can't really tell that he has one eye. So, okay, Percy in the book doesn't have his first Chronos dream until chapter 8, which is interesting because they were doing like one Chronos dream an episode in season 1. I wonder if they're going to keep that theme of like one dream per episode, but like the dream can either be a Chronos dream or it can be a dream of like his empathy link with Grover. I feel like that's probably what they'll do. But I will say I really liked the Chronos dreams, and I hope they do like more of them, because I thought that they were really well done and like spooky. The thought of Arian being in a wedding dress and talking in a falsetto voice and like sewing a wedding train in this show is literally like a visual that I can't wait to see. It's going to be overall so hilarious. One thing I do hope though is that it reads well to the people that like aren't necessarily Percy Jackson book readers, because I feel like there's a lot of nuanced, weird things within Percy Jackson books that are fan favorite things and are received really well by fans, like Grover being in a wedding dress because we read about it, like we've just been looking forward to seeing that for forever, like things that we get and are excited to see. But I try to think about the perspective of like a random person who has never read any Percy Jackson books watching this show and being like, why is he in a wedding dress? So I hope that the whole Grover bit like actually reads well to the non-book readers of the show, and more importantly to like the content creators that watch Percy Jackson but don't read Percy Jackson, because those types of people are like the type of people that would make fun of something like that when it's like, hey, you understand you're watching a technically a kid's show, right? Even though I hate calling it a kid's show because it's really not. All right, moving on to chapter 9. I'm really excited to see Annabeth see Luke for the first time in season 2, like since he left camp, because the relationship between Luke and Annabeth was built up quite a bit, in my opinion, in season 1, like in a very brother and sister type of way, thankfully, but they definitely like mentioned it a bunch and they built it up. But then when Luke's betrayal happened at the end of the show, I feel like Annabeth's reaction was like kind of lackluster, or at least we didn't really see enough of her reaction for my liking. So I'm hoping that in season 2, when Annabeth sees Luke again for the first time, like it's more devastating and we get to see more of her reaction to Luke betraying everybody. Oh my gosh, I literally forgot that Tyson can like jukebox someone's voice. He closes his eyes and concentrates really hard, and then he like opens his mouth and like someone else's voice comes out. Ugh! I like how Rick basically created a Cyclops character just to be a hack to literally everything these characters need. Monsters around? Hey, guess what? Tyson can sniff them out. Someone's too far away to hear? Hey, guess what? Tyson can hear them, and also he can just open his mouth and say exactly what they're saying in their voice. Fire breathing mechanical bulls? Hey, guess what? Tyson can't catch on fire. This is a line in the book that I really hope does not make it into the show. When Luke finds Percy and Annabeth outside of the door where they were eavesdropping, he goes, well, if it isn't my 2 favorite cousins, come right in. I'm gonna need them to cut that out of the show because people already have enough trouble explaining how Percy and Annabeth dating is like not incest. So if Luke could not refer to them as like his cousins, that'd be great. Agrius and Aureus, Luke's little, not so little assistants. Those are people that still need to be casted if they're including them in the show. And then here we go, in classic Percy Jackson fashion, Luke goes, oh, you don't know Agrius and Aureus' story? Well, their mother, blah, 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 blah. Cool in a book. Do we need that in the show? I don't think so. I think if people are into the show and they want to do like research on certain characters to see if they're actually like Greek mythological characters, they can do that on their own time. I hope we don't get a scene of Luke just sitting and telling us a story of his 2 little sidekicks. Because like I said, really cool in the book, enjoy it a lot in the book. In the show, I don't think it's necessary. Ooh, the gag that the scene is going to be between Annabeth and Luke when Luke's like, yeah, I poisoned Thalia's tree. And Annabeth is like, how could you? What the fuck is wrong with you? She doesn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But she's like, Thalia saved our lives. Like, how could you ever do that? Leah is going to eat that up. And guess what? So is Charlie. That's going to be a good scene. Also, if Luke wholeheartedly believes that if Thalia was alive, she would be on Luke's side, he's deranged. Like, that's next level deranged behavior. I hope to be that delusional, actually. I aspire to be as delusional as Luke. Okay, so Luke is telling Percy that he's like aware of everything that's going on at camp. He's like, I've got people that tell me everything. You want to find the golden fleece, I know your coordinates, etc., etc. And he's like, I have friends at camp that keep me posted. And Percy's like, you mean you have spies? Spoiler warning for The Last Olympian. Is that spy Selena? Question mark. I never thought about that. I know there's definitely like a bunch of Camp Alpha members that are like on Luke's side but aren't technically with him in the second book. Unless that spy is revealed later on. I can't remember. There's something in some book that happens with Charles Beckendorf, I think. No. I'm thinking of Chris Rodriguez coming back. Clarice like gets him back, I think. Something like that. I don't know. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything. Gag when Percy tells Luke that Hermes sent them to this ship. Drama. God, this reread has actually been a lot more fun than the last time I read this book, because when I last read Sea of Monsters, it was before the show had ever come out. So like I didn't get to read it with picturing in mind like the actors that are in the show and picturing the way that they're going to deliver like some of these lines or the general gist of these lines, because obviously the show isn't going to be word for word this book, but getting to picture the actors and like getting to picture like how they're going to carry these scenes and read these lines, it's actually making this book a lot more fun for me to read, which is good. Specifically Charlie Bushnell as Luke, I'm so excited to see him do more like dramatic scenes, more emotional scenes, because my favorite part of the show for him was his whole betrayal at the very end of season 1. I just think that Luke is such a fascinating character, and I think that Charlie portrays him so well that I just want more of him in the show as we go on. So I hope like they add more scenes of him. I hope the addition of an original character adds more Luke scenes. It's just good. It's just good stuff, you know? Also, sorry to interrupt the book reading. I bought my cat a cat tree when we first got him. There's this little like hammock part of the cat tree that I've always wanted him to sit in. And I go over there and he's in it. What a good boy. Full steam ahead. On to chapter 10 we go. Okay, here's a question. Where is... I'm gonna feel stupid looking this up, I think. Where is Virginia Beach? Okay, obviously it's in Virginia. So in one night, the Princess Andromeda traveled basically half the distance of the United States because they were in New Jersey, right? That's where Long Island is. Guys, let me let you in a little secret about me. I have ass geography skills. Unless I'm playing GeoGuessr, I don't know where anything is. You put a blank map of the United States in front of me, hey, I don't think I could get all 50 states. Sorry. Well, I could list you all 50 states, but am I going to put them in the right place on the map? Probably not. Sorry, but hey, if you need me to calculate the fucking curve of a parabola, I got that all day. Geography, though, not my thing. Okay, now I think we're getting into the part of this book that I remember feeling really slow for me. So they just, like, went off to Chesapeake Bay, I think. Yeah. And I think this is the part of the book where they, like, eventually run into Clarice, question mark. I think this is also the part of the book that I think has the monster donuts situation, which I really don't remember. Sorry, but I do know I've seen lots of cute merch for it. So when season 2 comes out and you see me sporting a really cute monster donut t-shirt from Etsy, hey, mind your business and forget that I ever said that this part of the book is slow. I do feel like, though, I was just like walking on a treadmill, like at a really intense speed, and I just turned it down to like a speed of 2 for some reason. I don't know why this part of the book feels slow to me. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. I will say, though, this part of the book would probably be the best place to put young Annabeth, Thalia, and Luke flashback, because Annabeth only knows about this place because she went here with Thalia and Luke. I don't even know if they're going to be doing flashbacks like that. That's just like my own personal like theory, I guess, because there's been zero confirmation of that. I would just love to see it personally. I don't think they're going to be able to keep the casting of Thalia secret. I think somehow, some way, we're going to find out who it is. So I think it'd be smart to use Thalia, like, in season 2 while you have her to do these flashbacks. Even if there's only like 2 or 3 of them. Right. Okay. The Hydra is this part of the book. I'm really trying to figure out why this part of the book felt so slow to me. It doesn't feel as slow right now. It just feels a little bit slower than what we were doing. But it's not bad. The Hydra will be really fun to see, because that's also something that we've technically seen in the movies. We just see that in the first Percy Jackson movie, not the second one. All right. Chapter 11. Clarice just showed up. I don't know why. I thought that the whole monster donut shop thing was like a lot longer. I don't know. Guys, maybe I just have a bad memory. Anyways, Clarice is here now, and they're all aboard her little ship. Oh, and by the way, we are officially halfway through the book. Like, well over halfway. I think halfway would be like 139-ish pages, and we're on 148. So, not doing too shabby. Now, when it comes to Clarice's ship, CSS Birmingham, I don't know if they need to keep the whole dead Confederate soldiers thing in the show. I think that might be something that we can scrap. They can just be dead soldiers. They don't need to be Confederate soldiers. That's what I think. There's no need to specify that. No need. Just make them dead soldiers, and you're good. Unfortunately, Clarice is my girl because she's the only person in this series so far that has cracked open a Dr. Pepper. I drink about one of those a day. So, me and Clarice, I fear we're like this right now. Okay, Ares is also in this book. He just showed up to talk to Clarice like on her boat. So far that's Hermes and Ares. So the same gods that were already in season 1, but that's fine. I'm excited to see them again. And this is the second time that they're talking about what the Oracle said to Clarice, which I cannot remember what her prophecy was. So I'm actually going to hack and I'm going to look on the back of one of these books up here to remind myself what her prophecy is. Don't mind me, just grabbing this book, which, by the way, if this beautiful book intrigues you at all, you can watch my unboxing of it on my channel. You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek and make it your own, but despair for your life, entombed within stone, and fail without friends to fly home alone. So is this basically saying like she needs to have friends with her on this quest or else she's gonna fail? I can't remember. I know the book will explain it to me, obviously, though. So, okay, it's literally only it's their third day away from camp, their second night of sleep. And they're already off the northern coast of Florida by day 3. So, these ships travel pretty fast. So, another monster that they're going to have to design is Charybdis, which will be interesting to see. Right now in my head, I'm kind of picturing like the sandworms from Dune, but in the ocean. That's what I'm picturing when I read it. I have no idea what it's going to look like in the show. They're also going to have to design Skyla, I believe. This whole sequence of them trying to enter the Sea of Monsters, I hope is like beautifully well done. But I also hope that it's easy for us to follow, because I feel like sometimes when there's like a fight sequence happening, especially in water, it's like hard to see or it's hard to follow. Granted, the only like examples I can think of are like anytime any sort of water fight happened in Game of Thrones when people were on ships, or I don't know why I'm thinking specifically of like the finale of Shang-Chi. I don't know why that's coming to my mind, but it is. I haven't seen Black Sails, which is the show that the guy that plays Poseidon is on. I know a lot of people have told me I need to watch it, and it's definitely on my list. But I think they have a lot of the same crew members from Black Sails working on Percy Jackson, and they obviously have experience with doing like water stunt work and all that stuff. So I'm hoping like the cinematography of this whole entering the Sea of Monsters sequence will just look really good and will flow really well. Because to be quite honest, when I read it, like this whole scene, reading it, I don't know, it feels very hectic and there's just like a lot to follow. It kind of gives me a headache. So I hope they do it really, really well in the show. So Clarice's ship blows up and now Percy thinks that Tyson is dead. Rest in peace, King. Now we go to Circe's Island, I'm pretty sure. Chapter 12. Let's get into it. I wonder if in season 2 they're going to like explain / introduce Ambrosia to the show, because they didn't do that at all in season 1. Not that it really felt necessary at all. I don't really remember, once again, I don't have a good memory and I haven't read these books in a minute, but I don't really remember like how often Ambrosia was used in the first book. But we know that Hermes gives them a bag of Ambrosia, so I wonder if they're gonna like introduce that to the show or not. See, Percy and Annabeth are sharing a Dr. Pepper. If that's not the most romantic thing I've ever heard in my entire life, I don't know what is. It's gonna be so fascinating to see like how they do all the stuff at Circe's Island, like looking into the fabric that's over the mirror and like Percy seeing like the perfect version of himself, Percy turning into a guinea pig. That's gonna be so ridiculous. I'm so excited. Now what I'm really excited for is to see Annabeth's makeover in Circe's Island. Leah is going to look stunning. I forgot Blackbeard is in this book. What a funny little gag. Oh my gosh. Percy Jackson / Outer Banks crossover, right? Isn't that what the next season of Outer Banks is supposed to be about? All right, chapter 13. Annabeth tries to swim home. This is when like the whole siren scene happens. So it's interesting, like the events of this book so far kind of go from like least interesting to most interesting for me, because like I don't have too much interest in the whole like monster donut part of the storyline, and then the whole like Skyla and Charybdis part, sure, whatever. Circe's Island, a little bit more interesting to me, and then we go into the siren scene, which is probably like the most interesting part to me. Okay, this would be another really great flashback moment for Annabeth and Luke and Thalia of like the story of why Annabeth doesn't really like Cyclopses. It would be cool to like visually see the maze that they get stuck in while she's telling the story of the flashback. OT, in one of Percy's dreams, he like sees Thalia. So there's no way they're saving her for the end of the season. Like, a lot of people have been saying that we're not going to find out who plays her because they don't want to reveal it until the very, very end when, like, Thalia comes out of her tree or whatever the fuck. But in this, his dream, he hears a girl say, "Well, seaweed brain," and he looks over expecting to see Annabeth, but the girl wasn't Annabeth. She wore punk-style clothes with silver chains on her wrist. She had spiky black hair, dark eyeliner around her stormy blue eyes, and a spray of freckles across her nose. She looked familiar, but I wasn't sure why. So we're going to see her well before the end of the season. I forgot about that. Here is why I'm such a pro Percy Jackson being blonde person. Besides the fact that I just feel like being blonde makes more sense for the son of the sea god, Percy tying Annabeth up when they're sailing past the sirens and forgetting to take away her weapons is something that only a blonde would do. Idiot. What's interesting about this, though, is that in this book, it's saying that Annabeth is a strong swimmer. I don't know if I got that vibe from season 1 when they like jumped into the tunnel of love. It kind of seemed like Annabeth was struggling to swim a little bit. I don't know if maybe I'm just reading into that or if they did that intentionally or what. But I'm curious to see if like when Annabeth goes swimming for the sirens, if she's like a decent swimmer or if she's going to really struggle and that's going to lend a hand in Percy having to save her even more. Oh my gosh, our first technical Athena sighting. When Percy touches Annabeth, he can see the sirens how she's seeing them. And so she sees her dad, Athena, and Luke. I wonder if they're going to keep that. I wonder if they're going to have to cast Athena this season. They might just like cast somebody and only show us the back of their head though. Oh my gosh, I haven't read the siren scene in so long. This is going to be so good. I wonder how they're going to make it like look. Like, how are they going to pull off the effect of them being underwater, but they're in a bubble of air? It's going to be really interesting. All right, end of chapter 13. They get away from the sirens. Everyone's safe. And they realize that they have just officially sailed into the home of the Cyclops. Chapter 14, we meet the Sheep of Doom. I think that's a pretty decent place to stop today. We did 6 chapters. That's pretty good. It's only like 1 less than yesterday. So chapter 14, we'll pick up tomorrow. Yeah, best part about today was definitely the siren scene because of course, duh. Not necessarily as slow as I remember it being, but it definitely does feel, it just feels like the part of the book that we just read is them doing a lot of stuff to just prevent them from getting to Grover. And I know that that's kind of the whole point. And like they do that exact same thing in The Lightning Thief where like so many obstacles happen to them to prevent them from getting to the underworld. But like, I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like it's done differently. It's like spread out a lot more over The Lightning Thief. Like it's like the entire book is them having these obstacles they have to get through. These obstacles though happen so fast and so back to back. Like I don't know. I guess it is kind of the whole book because we're about to read chapter 14 tomorrow. And that means there's only 6 chapters left. But like there's still so much they have to do. They have to get to Grover. They have to get the fleece. And then they have to bring it back to camp. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It just feels different from how they do the obstacles in The Lightning Thief. I feel like The Lightning Thief just flows a lot better as a book than these couple of chapters in Sea of Monsters personally. You guys are more than allowed to disagree with me because I know I can't even really verbally explain why I feel like these chapters just are a little bit slower than what we read yesterday. But when we come back tomorrow, we're going to be finding Grover. So that'll definitely be fun and that'll help pick it back up. So yeah, that's day 2 of the reading vlog. Thank you guys for joining me. Let's go into day 3. All right, everyone, welcome back to day 3. Day 3 of this reading vlog. I regret to inform you, it's been a couple days. It's Tuesday. Last time I touched this book, it was a Thursday. I went out of town for the weekend, so it's been a couple days, okay? I told you guys before we started this, I'm a slow reader, okay? I'm not the fastest reader that has ever read a book, but we're back. We're continuing with chapter 14, I believe. Let's get into it. Right, okay, chapter 14, we meet the Sheep of Doom. Where we left off last time, it was the siren scene, and I think they just arrived at where Grover is. Okay, so they're on Monster Island. There are sheep the size of hippos. They see a lifeboat. I think that's the lifeboat Tyson comes in on. So Tyson was not with Clarice on the lifeboat. Thank you for answering my question. And then they start climbing up a cliff, I think. Okay, I lied. Clarice is there. I can't remember if she had Tyson with her or what. I forget that Clarice even ended up here. Bro, Clarice is literally so fucking dumb. And I say that with love. When she's like, Satyr. And Polyphemus is like, what Satyr? And Clarice is like, that Satyr. Grover. Read the room. I know Aries like isn't smart, so I don't expect his offspring to be like the smartest people ever. But girl, common sense. Read the vibe. Oh my god, the Cyclops wants to marry Clarice. Literally all of this has escaped me. I don't remember Clarice even being on the island. This is crazy. Right, okay, I do remember this. I remember Percy having to sneak in like on the underside of a goat. Sheep. Sorry, my bad. Oh my gosh, thinking about Percy and Grover's reunion is gonna be so cute. Because I love Arian and Walker. They're like such cutie pie besties. They're gonna do that scene so well. On to chapter 15. Nobody gets the fleece. I see what they did there. Oh my gosh, they knocked Annabeth out. Bruh. Grover sang for Pan. Oh, Grover. I think I'm really excited to see Clarice in action in the show because during the capture the flag scene, I thought that she was like really cool and really badass. And like the fighting sequences were already like super cool in my opinion, especially for capture the flag. But like just the way Clarice is, especially with her spear and like her aura, I think is really, really cool in the show. And obviously we didn't get a lot of her in season 1 because she's not really in the book. But she is in Sea of Monsters a lot, and I'm really excited to see her fight. I think it's just going to be really badass. I'm also really excited to see her and Percy fighting together. I think that that's going to be really fun. I'm just like reading Percy and Clarice attacking Polyphemus, and I'm like thinking of the fight choreography and what it's going to look like, and I'm just so excited. My cat is freaking out right now. Do you think they're going to have Polyphemus be in a baby blue tuxedo kilt in the show? Do you think they're going to keep that? Or do you think they're going to make him, like, scary? I wonder. They did keep the Minotaur being in underwear, but, like, that scene still managed to be very, very scary. I'm curious just about how the whole design of Polyphemus is going to look in general. And I'm actually very excited to see the behind the scenes of, like, the fighting process of them having to fight, like, a CGI monster like that. I think it'll be very interesting. Oh, Percy. Shouldn't trust a damn Cyclops. Don't you know any better? Come on now. In fact, the only Cyclops you can trust is Tyson. And speaking of, Tyson is alive! Which I knew. I remembered that, don't worry. But in the show, it's gonna eat. It's gonna eat. Oh my gosh. Percy being worried about Annabeth being injured. It's gonna be so good. And I know I keep saying that. I really am loving reading this book and picturing how it's going to look in the show like a million times more than I've ever enjoyed reading this book. And I'm sure that would apply to the rest of the series as well. Oh my gosh, Clarice having to carry Annabeth is going to be so funny. She picks her up like a sack of flowers so she doesn't hold her like baby style. She throws her over her shoulder. Chapter 16, I go down with the ship. I don't really remember what happens after they leave the island. From the time they leave the island to the time they're back at Camp Half-Blood, anything that happens in between then is like a blank screen for me. I can't remember a thing, so I'm curious to see what this is. Oh, not Queen Anne's Revenge sinking. Damn. Once again, Clarice, you're like so close to being a badass, and then you're just so dumb. I guess that's the life of an Aries kid. And I just realized that that was very Child of Athena for me to say. Whew. These stereotypes are crazy, you guys. It's so funny because this part says, not many people realize that when a ship goes down, it acts like a sinkhole, pulling everything down around it. Actually, I've seen Titanic many times. I'm fully aware of what happens when a boat sinks. Thank you. And oh my gosh, this scene where they fall asleep on the hippocampus is gonna be so cute. Rick was really in his bag with Percy in this book. Chapter 17, we get a surprise on Miami Beach. They've been gone from camp for 10 days. That's crazy. Right. Okay. Clarissa's prophecy. You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek and make it your own. But despair for your life, entombed within stone, and fail without friends to fly home alone. My cat is biting my elbow. Do y'all see that? What's up, Bubba? Luke is back. And once again, Luke addresses Percy as cousin, so I'm gonna need that to probably not happen. Maybe actually Luke can address Percy as cousin, but I don't want him calling Annabeth and Percy his cousins, because that implies that Annabeth and Percy are also cousins, which I know that they kind of technically are, but we don't need to talk about that. You know, it makes a lot of sense that there's still quite a couple chapters left of the book, because I was really confused for a minute when I was like, oh, they're leaving the island, they're going back to Camp Half-Blood. I don't really remember what happens between now and then. And also, how is there so much left of the book? Luke shows up. Got it. Percy Jackson is honestly such an enigma of a character, because sometimes he does the literal dumbest shit I've ever seen a character do. And then sometimes he does other shit like throwing a drachma at Luke so that he can dodge it, and then he can call Dionysus at Camp Half-Blood so that everybody at Camp Half-Blood can hear what Luke is saying. So what is it, Percy? Are you smart or are you dumb? Which one is it? I'm also not sure why I remember Tantalus being like a bigger part than he has been. He just returned to the underworld. Maybe I'm thinking of whoever is in charge of Mrs. O'Leary in book 4? Question mark? Quintus? Is that his name? We'll figure it out when we get there. Ooh, chapter 18. The party ponies invade. I remember this, I think. I know we see the party ponies again in the last book. I think I need to acquire a t-shirt that says Party Ponies South Florida chapter. I love that they call it a chapter. It's giving very much fraternity. And I'm kind of obsessed with it. Oh my gosh. The party ponies head slam into each other. This is literally like a fraternity. A fun, goofy fraternity. I'm obsessed. Yeah, I have to get a party pony t-shirt for sure. I want to get a t-shirt that like can correlate to every episode of Percy Jackson season 2. So I'll need a t-shirt that says Monster Donuts on it. I'll need a Party Ponies t-shirt. I'll think of some other ones. Honestly, it's such like a gag for them to have like this big secret prophecy, and like we find out about the prophecy kind of, and it's like, oh, has to be Percy. He's the only child of the big three, so it has to be him. And the gag at the end of this book, when it's like, oh, just kidding, there's 2 of them now. I remember reading this book for the first time. I was on a beach fitting, and I got to the end of it. And when the ending happened, I remember being like, oh, I literally gasped. Oh, good times. Oh, gag. I forgot that Kronos is technically Chiron's father. What an interesting little tidbit to include. Anyways, chapter 19, the chariot race ends with a bang. I also forget there are 2 chariot races in this book. Okay, so Hermes shows up twice. I wonder if they're going to find a way to fit Poseidon into this season, because from what I remember, he's not in the book. And I personally will be very upset if I have to go a whole season without seeing Toby Stephens as Poseidon, because I love him. Oh my god. The letter being 2 words. Brace yourself. Poseidon, you son of a bitch. That's like so ominous. It's not even funny. Okay, it's a little funny. Tyson asked for a friend. Guys. I don't even know if you can see my tears. Poseidon did care for me after all. He sent you to help me, just what I asked for. You asked Poseidon for me? For a friend. Ugh, that's sweet or whatever. He sent me a brother. You guys, what the fuck? Tyson, I love you. Tyson, my baby brother. When he's 6 feet taller than you, Percy. Guys, I forgot that all of that happened like that. That is the sweetest thing, and that's gonna literally make me cry in the show. The cheek kiss. I knew that happened. I just forgot when. Oh my god. You're telling me I'm gonna have to experience the whiplash of Tyson and Percy calling each other brother to Annabeth kissing Percy on the cheek? Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. In a good way. Oop, chapter 20. We're on the last chapter, everybody. The fleece works its magic too well. Oh, we do see Poseidon. It's in a dream, kind of, but hey, it counts. Thalia has risen from the dead, ladies and gents. What a crazy way to end a book. Rick is literally so crazy. And that does it. That does it for the very first reading vlog on this channel for the Sea of Monsters. That was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed doing it. It only took me 3 days to read. Air quote around 3 days because I read for about an hour each day. So about 3 hours. Which kind of sounds crazy, but whatever. Here is the general consensus now reading this after going a really long time without reading it. It's hard to say if it still falls at the very end of my ranking of the 5 Percy Jackson books. I think I'd have to reread the rest of the series to like have recent knowledge of how I feel on all of the books. I do still think I like books 3, 4, and 5 more because I remember them more. I remember certain parts of those books more. They stuck with me more than Sea of Monsters did, but that's not to say that Sea of Monsters wasn't still a fun book. Like I still had a lot of fun reading it. So just because this might fall at the end of my ranking doesn't mean it's bad. This was still really, really fun and definitely went by a lot faster than I remember. I just think that the first 2 Percy Jackson books, they're good, right? They're great. They're a great way to start off a series, but once you get into the 3rd book, from then on, like the series really just gets going and it's really hard to compete with that. So overall, I liked it a lot more than I remember liking it in the past, which is good. That's all I wanted from this. And like I said a bunch of times, I had so much fun reading this and thinking about how they're going to do certain parts of this book in the show. That was probably my favorite part of reading it. I don't know, am I supposed to give like a star rating or something? I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 5, right? That sounds fair. Good book, easy read. If someone came up to me though and they're like, you can only read one more Percy Jackson book for the rest of your life, I don't think Sea of Monsters would be the one I pick up, but that's fine. And if Sea of Monsters is your favorite Percy Jackson book, I'm so happy for you. It really is such a fun book to read. Now, if you guys had fun with this reading vlog, please let me know. I would love to do more of these in the future. I can reread the rest of the Percy Jackson series. And also, guys, I'm scared to admit what I'm about to admit to all of you, okay? Look, what I'm about to say, some of you might get mad at me for, okay? Like I told you guys, I never did a lot of reading when I was a kid. Right? Middle school, high school, I didn't really do a lot of reading there either. And I've been back into reading a lot in my 20s, which has been great. But like I said, I don't have that much time for reading in my life. So as a Percy Jackson fan, this is scary for me to admit on the internet. But I feel like now I have a reason to admit it because I think that this could be a really interesting series. There may be some Percy Jackson books that I've never read. I'm sorry, guys. I'm literally so sorry. Don't look at me like, stop it. Don't even look at me like that, okay? Stop. I've never read the Heroes of Olympus series. I can feel the judgmental stares, okay? This is a secret that I've carried with me for a long time, It's a burden, okay? It's a burden I've carried with me for a long time. But, picture this. Reading vlog, first time reading these books. You're telling me that's not a good YouTube series? Come on now. And I know bits and pieces, like I know certain characters and whatnot, but I don't know like the gist of it. You know what I mean? So if you guys think that it'd be interesting to see me read these books for the first time, let me know. I'd love to make videos on them. Because here's the real thing. I've been meaning to get around to these books for arguably years, but like I said, I just don't really have time to do it. But if I'm making a reading vlog out of it, I'm reading while working. So it's a win-win-win situation. Who knows? Maybe we'll finally get to read these books. Let me know if you guys want to see me read these. And also, don't be mean to me in the comments for not having read this series, okay? Give me a break. I swear, I still love Percy Jackson, okay? It was really hard for me to admit this to you guys. All right? All right. Anyways, that does it for this YouTube video. Make sure you follow me on all of my other social medias. Make sure you check out my podcast with my boyfriend. And of course, make sure you check out my Patreon. We watch a lot of TV shows and movies over there, and it's a really fun time. So you don't want to miss out on any of that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a new video style for me, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So that pretty much does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.